Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher again. Today, what I'd like to do is we're going to mark out almost all of what's going to be on the bird itself, as far as the shoulder, the wing where it cuts in, and the different stages of the feathering that comes down on the bird. So what I'm going to try to do is give you a lot of, well, I'll actually show you one that I have that's like done. We're going to mark this out so that all this is defined before we even start anything. So just doing this will be what's on this video here. We're going to be marking this out. And this sets up the whole premise of how the feathers lay and where they should lie and everything else. And I'm going to try to give you all the dimensions in metric now. Remember, I said I hope there's no problems with this with everybody, but I'm going to try to do this in metric from now on. And if there is, let me know. I'll give you the feet, and I'll give you the inches, not the feet, and fractions of inches and so on. So, but metric, I think, is a lot easier if you have the ruler. Usually one side it's got feet and inches, the other side it's millimeters and centimeters. So bear with me. I'm going to take you down and we'll start building the bird as it's needed with the markings on it. And this will structure us for then refining it so that we can bring out the different text, like the shoulder of the bird and the wings where they get cut in and everything else. So bear with me, and we'll be right with you. Okay, we're back again. Now, the key things that I want to establish on the bird is a couple of things. We had a center line that came right down through the face here, and I'm going to ask you to just extend that on a straight line basis. So you can lay your ruler there and extend that a little bit, at least down to about approximately like there. But the key one is the one in the back here. This is the side here, okay? And we had established the center line coming up here that shaped this to start, okay? So I'm going to ask you to make sure you have that right where it should be, okay? And then we flipped it over, if you remember, and we brought it to the other side, and then we took another measurement from outside to outside and found the middle, and we struck another center line coming right on up, and we're going to build off of these two lines. Now I'm going to go on to what is the back, which is this one here, and I'm going to take measurements and points that I'm going to ask you to put on your piece. Now, the first one I want to try to do is I'm going to measure from the tail up, and I'm using my millimeters or millimeters of these. Every 10 is 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters, 30, 40, 50, so on. So I'm going to give you a measurement from the tail up. So I'm laying the ruler, not bending it. If you have one of these flexible rulers that bends and stuff like that, I don't want you to do that. Once you use a stiff ruler, the other thing I should do is bring in one of my helpers here. This here is just a cloth I get from the dollar store for when you put on your shelf, things don't slide around. This acts pretty to steady me. So I'm going to hold my ruler in this fashion here, where I'm not bending it over, but I'm holding it flat, which would be like parallel to the table, even though the owl's sitting like that. Okay, I'm going to look down here, and I'm measuring up 140 millimeters, which is from 0 to 14. That's it right there. So at that point, I'm going to ask you to get your ruler where one of these centimeters lines are, the larger one, that are in line with the center line of the back here. And I'm going to ask you to draw a light line coming across. That would make this line perpendicular to the center line, okay? So we have that established as one of the numbers that we need. Then I'm also going to ask you, again, we're going to try to do this from the tail up at all times. Well, not all the time, but a lot. I'm going to measure up from the tail up again. And again, I'm not bending it over. I'm sort of just holding the ruler, and I'm trying to look down. You know, this surface is dropping off, but I'm keeping this straight across. So it's where the flat is up here, I'm sort of leveling it. So I want to look down again at the end, and I'm going to come up 77 millimeters. So here's the 7, and I come up and count 7 a little more, and that's 77. I'm going to lay one of my centimeter marks right here in line with the center line of the back here and draw a perpendicular line again. And you can always check yourself out. If you stick, most rulers are going to be squared up. So if you can stick that in there and you ended up with a 90 or 90 down here, you know you're perpendicular. So that's another check. So I'm getting these points so that we could build off of them. So bear with me here. Now I'm going to come also back, let's see, 9 millimeters back. Yep, 9 millimeters back. I'm going from this 77, I'm going to come back and put another dot. See if that's right. Doesn't seem right, but I'm sorry, 10 millimeters. Yeah, 10 millimeters down. So it's just a little bit more. And again, from the 77, I come back 10, and then I draw a perpendicular line again. Okay, these are light lines. These are not going to be the ones that end up. These are just points of like tangent points and so on. Then I'm going to come up from the tail, looking down at the edge of my ruler on the edge of the tail, come up 45 millimeters, lay my ruler on the center, and there's another one there. I don't know if you could see that. I'll make that a little heavier, so maybe you can't see any of these, but I'll heavy them up. So we got these points here. So I think we got a lot of the key ones in there. And on this one up here, which was the 77, I'm going to ask you if you can, and don't go rolling off to the side. I'm going to ask you to draw this a little longer this way and this way. Okay. And you can check it by laying your ruler out and just seeing if the line is on edge on both sides, okay? Now, and that goes for this one as well. This is the upper one. This was the 140. And we come across this way, and I'm going to heavy this up a little bit in that way, okay? Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to measure out from the center 20 millimeters. Excuse me, got my, turn my hat around so I don't go banging the camera every time. And I hope I'm in sync here with you guys, I'm not going off camera. I'm laying this on the center line and coming out 20 millimeters that way and 20 millimeters this way and putting a dot, okay? And then the other thing I want to do too, from this dot, the 140, I want to go back 20 millimeters as well. So I'm going to lay this here, come back, and put a dot there, okay? Now, what I want to do, and I'm going to try to, let's see if I have one. As we're going along here, I've been really updating the owl, and I'm going to try to improve on my original layout of the owl, and this is probably even changing again. What we're going to do is right at this point right here is where this wing, this is actually like the mantle itself, comes around, and the same way over here. So we're going to develop this portion right in here, this curvature. It's actually the shoulder right in here. And what we're doing is just marking these out right now. So let me show you what I'm going to try to do. And I'll also give you some drawings that I'm doing in red here too, just so I can define it. We're going to be doing this and this. Okay, so here's what I'm going to try to do. I want to come up, this will be like a point where I want to start from, and I want to arc this up to this point. So it's going to come off the line just slightly up here and roll around, and we meet up right here, okay? And we're going to do the same thing. So we're trying to make what we do on this side the same on this side. So we're coming out, and this is an arc that comes down, and it reaches right there. So now we have this swinging out, and it should look the same, okay? Or you're going to try to make it look the same on your setup. Now, we also, let's see, when I come down to, let's see what I have here. I have 68. I'm just trying to check myself out that from here to here is 70. So from here to there is 7. That's good. Yep. Now, what I'm going to do from here, now this is the measurement of 77 millimeters up from the tail. I'm going to go up 10 millimeters and put a dot. So I have from here to here, 10 millimeters up. So this was 77, this would be 87 from the tail up, okay? Now, I'm also going to come out from the center of the 77 millimeters and go out about 10 millimeters also, and 10 millimeters from the center out on this one. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is, again, we're going to make an arc. So we're going to go from here, and this will be like a tangent point, that dot, and it's going to swing this way. And then we have the dot here, which is 10 millimeters out. I'm going to go this way. So now we have an arc here, and we have an arc here. Now, eventually we're going to try to get this shoulder locked up, and I'm going to try to give you dimensions which are going to get you to get the whole thing in place. So here's where it gets a little tricky, but we'll do the best we can with what we have. I'm going to try, let's see if I have a flexible. Yep. Now, on this one, which I already have marked up, I'm going to try to bring this center line down, which is in the middle of the head, all the way down on a straight line basis. So when you get done, you should be able to lay a ruler alongside that edge, and you're there. I'm going to ask you to measure over 5 millimeters, but I got to give you a measurement down off of that. So from the top of the head down, I'm going to do this. Let's see. I'm going to come out down 80 millimeters. So from here down along this center line of the head, I'm going to ask you to come down with the owl sitting flat, and you're not bending it. You're looking down from the top, and you get the 80 right on the edge here of the head, and come down and measure 80 down and put a dot on the center line. So I'm going to do that on this one. So here's something I haven't done yet on this one. So I'm going to take this center line all the way back this way, show you exactly how you should do it. And I'm going to make sure that my center line is running true. Let's see if I got that correct. And how you can do that is you can just roll your ruler back to make sure you're in the same plane. I'm going to run this down. And I'm just going to eyeball this to see if it's running the same. Yep. Now, I got to take this down far enough. So, from the top of the head, I hope you can see this, I'm laying the edge of my ruler, and I'm not bending it down. I'm keeping this flat.